I don't know why they are giving this much out, but every American family needs to see this. The government is basically...
Good afternoon. I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News Now, coming to you from our digital studio. We're going to be taking you live into... It's going to be the arraignment of Frederick Rear. Going to be honest, not sure which of our two defendants there that are in the proceedings to start. But this is, of course, in connection to a case that Cleveland 19 has been following very closely for a long time now. The case of Amanda Dean. She was last seen July 11th of 2017. There had been problems at the time, reported abuse at the hands of a boyfriend for a while when she went missing. She had 4 children. We have heard from her family numerous times that it was very unlike Amanda, especially with her 4 children that she was very close with, to just go way and in the fashion that she did. It was announced this weekend by the Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost that charges had been filed. You'll remember this case started to pick up steam again when Cleveland Missing, the organization here in Cleveland, which in full disclosure, I sit on that board. Cleveland Missing got involved in this case when the family was getting dead ends at the hands of the Huron County Sheriff. And I believe now we're getting a little bit better idea that this is Frederick Rear, who was the boyfriend at the time of her disappearance. This is going to be his arraignment for murder, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence from this case back in 2017. We haven't gotten a lot of the court records as of yet that spell out exactly what evidence the state has. The prosecution team has. That is Rear, I believe. That in fact is Rear in this case. Again, evidence in this case. Cleveland Missing got involved in this when the family was asking for help. They were getting nowhere with the Huron County Sheriff's Department. They had been telling the Sheriff's Department for years that they feared for Amanda's life when she went missing. There was this strange back and forth between the Sheriff's Department and the family, where they would only tell the family at the time that they could assure the family that she had checked into some sort of women's shelter, a protective shelter from abuse. They would not tell the family where or why they knew that, but just that that's what had been said to the Sheriff's Department and that they had relayed to the family. Well, that didn't sit well with the family, and they continue to ask questions. It was a year into that where they started asking questions again. Where is she? Is she still safe? And at that point, they basically got shut down from the Huron County Sheriff's Department, and details were not given. And so that's when, and in the years that followed, that her family got involved with Cleveland Missing. That is the organization that was started by Gina DeJesus and her family as a resource to families like the Deans who had nowhere to go and were not getting answers. It was through the help of Cleveland Missing with the chair of that organization, Chief John Majoy, who's also the police chief in Newburgh Heights, that they were able to CI involved, the Ohio Attorney General's Office, Bureau of Criminal. Even further, they took control of the case from the Huron County Sheriff's Department. We have even seen property being dug up, property that belongs to that man's father, that owns Frederick Rear's father. And we saw BCI out there with excavators, with backhoes, with canine sniffing dogs, and we were unaware, or at least not told at the time, of anything being found by investigators. but something had to have been found, or some piece of information that would bring us to court here today, that her former boyfriend is now facing charges after 6 years of being sort of wrapped up in this and no answers. And again, getting our first look at Frederick Rear. Again, charges were brought this weekend through an indictment and a grand jury that has put charges on this 40-year-old man from Collins. Now, from what we understand, the authorities went to his home Friday to make that arrest. According to Chief John Majoy with Cleveland Missing, that arrest occurred without incident, and that's why we are here today. That is more than likely his public defender, probably assigned to him by the court, and we should be getting underway here shortly. What we'll do is we're going to play one of our stories that ran this weekend from RCA New Yorker, sort of updating you on this case and where we stand today. We'll make sure that you don't miss a second of the arraignment, because they are generally fairly quick. Just generally maybe a reading of the charges, may not even get that, but perhaps a bond being set, an initial not guilty plea. Let's take a look at our story from CN New Yorker that ran just this weekend after news of the arrest of Frederick Rear.
Investigators never stop looking for Amanda Dean, and with the help of Cleveland Missing, her family is getting answers. Newburgh Heights Police Chief John Majoy was with them when the news came out that there was an arrest in her case.
Once the news came out, there was tears, there were smiles, there were hugs, and there were some high fives. And so the family is doing fairly well under all circumstances.
Investigators say Dean went missing in 2017 after reports that her boyfriend, Frederick Rear...
And we are going to interrupt this as we now have the judge on the bench. Let's take you live into the court in Huron County.
Oh, he's otherwise engaged as well? Just within. All right. Take a bit of a hiatus here.
If you have water, dampness, or a musty smell in your basement, get help now. Don't risk.
And as you see, the Judge Conway going to take a quick recess. Apparently, whether it's the prosecutor, someone is not in the room just yet. So the judge is going to walk away for just a second. So let's start that story again from our CN New Yorker that ran this weekend, that really sort of puts the pieces together for you before we get to this arraignment. Again, we'll make sure you don't miss a single second.
Investigators never stop looking for Amanda Dean, and with the help of Cleveland Missing, her family is getting answers. Newburgh Heights Police Chief John Majoy was with them when the news came out that there was an arrest in her case.
Once the news came out, there was tears, there were smiles, there were hugs, and there were some high fives. And so the family is doing fairly well under all circumstances.
Investigators say Dean went missing in 2017 after reports that her boyfriend, Frederick Rear, had threatened to kill her. The mother of four was last seen in July of 2017 in Huron County, and then she vanished. Last November, investigators were out in the town of Collins digging behind Rear's father's home. BCI never said then if they found anything, but there's new information into the 19 newsroom. We want to warn you that the details are graphic. The indictment shows investigators believe Rear killed Dean on or about July 11th, 2017, and then burned a mattress. Investigators say he cleaned up the bloody scene with towel.
And we are back in court, so let's take you live into Huron County Court.
All right, court calls the case table Ohio versus Frederick Rear, 2024-0091. We're here for purposes of arraignment. Ms. Cooker is here on behalf of the defendant. Mr. Siddeley is here on behalf of the state. Mr. Rear, can you give your full name for the record?
Frederick R. Rear,
And what is your date of birth?
6/11/83,
And what are the last 4 digits of your social security?
20.
And are you aware of the charges that you're facing here today?
Somewhat.
All right. Did you get a chance to review the indictment with Ms. Cooker? All right. As I look at that indictment, it indicates that there are 6 separate counts. Count 1, 3, 4, and 6 are each entitled tampering with evidence. They're felonies of the 3rd degree. They have potential 9 to 36-month prison sentence. Up to $10,000 in fines could be imposed. Count 2 is gross abuse of a corpse, a felony of the 5th degree. 6 to 12 months in prison possible, up to a $2,500 fine. And count 5 is a charge of murder. It's an unclassified felony. It carries a 15-year to life sentence and up to a $20,000 fine. Are those then the penalties and the charges that you're aware you're facing?
Yeah.
Do you have any prior felony convictions?
No.
Are you currently on supervision or probation anywhere?
No.
Do you understand that you have a right to have an attorney at this proceeding and all proceedings that go forward before the court?
Yes.
Can you afford your own attorney?
Yeah.
Do you have anybody in mind at this point? Have you talked to anyone?
I talked to one person, but I didn't know who was that.
All right. Do you have any objection to Ms. Cooker assisting you for today's purposes or arraignment?
No.
All right. And then if you do retain your own counsel, we're going to give you dates today. Obviously, we haven't cleared those with counsel that we don't know who they are at this point. So they would have to file a notice of appearance, and these dates that we give you may be subject to change based on their availability. But for now, they would be required for your attendance. If you want the court to appoint counsel for you, if you find that you can't afford counsel, you can fill out a financial disclosure form, turn that in, and the court could consider appointing counsel for you. Do you understand that? Do you have any assets of note, a house, property, those types of things? All right. Do you currently work? All right. Any sources of income that I should be aware of?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Typically, then you would be able to qualify, so if you do change your mind and you want to apply for counsel, the court will be willing to appoint counsel for you. As far as your rights in this matter, do you understand that you have a right to remain silent with regard to these charges? And you understand that you have a right to a trial by jury? And I need you to yes out loud for that. All right. And Ms. Cooker has a copy of the indictment that's served on the defendant?
Thank you, Your Honor. On behalf of Mr. Rivera, I would acknowledge receipt of a copy of the indictment.
All right. And with regard to bond, Mr. Siddeley?
Thank you, Your Honor. $1 million cash bond plus personal recognizance that the defendant did not have any contact with the victim's family, that the defendant be subject to electronic ankle monitor, and that the court impose a curfew. The state would also be asking that he be enrolled in pretrial services.
All right. And as to bond, Ms. Cooker?
Thank you, Your Honor. I do think the $1 million bond request is excessive. Your Honor, he's already indicated he has no prior felonies, not a supervision, anything like that. I do understand the significance and severity of the alleged charge here. However, Your Honor, I do still think $1 million is accepted. Otherwise, I think all the other requested terms and conditions of bond would be appropriate. And also, if he does hire counsel, we would ask that he be able to argue bond as well.
Your Honor, if I may supplement the state's request.
You may.
The state is asking this because Mr. Rear had previously resided in both California and Florida, in addition to the course exchanges that he had with the family before anyone last saw the victim.
All right. Here, the court does not think the state's request is unreasonable. I will indicate, though, as you intend to retain counsel, I would leave it open as to argument for bond, which you have retained counsel as well. But for today's purposes, I'm going to set it at the state's request, a $1 million bond plus a personal recognizance. Also, that if the bond were posted, you had no association with the victim's family. That means no contact of any type, no letter writing, no email, no social media, no going through third parties, and no in-person contact. If you find you're in the same place as the victim, a member of the victim's family, it would be your duty to leave. Do you understand that requirement? And again, you can answer out loud today. As far as the electronic monitoring, the court would also order that a GPS monitor would be used. In addition, that would be on terms and conditions of house arrest. Also, pretrial services would be required, which would mean that you had to check in with our probation department for purposes of supervision while you were out on bond. You would provide the address and the time for that at the time your release and posting of bond. As far as appearances, if you don't appear at the dates that we've set for you, that can be a felony of the fourth degree, and it can result in 18 months in prison. Do you understand that? As far as dates, then, we have a pretrial scheduled for March 11, 2024 at 1 o'clock. A final pretrial will be at April 11, 2024 at 1, and if a jury trial were necessary, at 12:30. We are going to ask that they sign in recognition of those conditions. Also going to ask that if you have an address and a phone number where you intend to reside, you post bond to include that as well. Do you understand that? Ms. Cooker?
Your Honor, just on the judgment entry that I just want to clarify.
Oh, it's April 17th. Did I say 11? All right, I spoke. It's April 17th.
If you watch YouTube videos for at least 1 hour a week, you could be owed a